Okay, everybody, so this is the first part of the assignment, Skin and Structure. And whenever you start something new, it's a lot easier just to get some ideas through drawing, get some ideas. It will generate ideas. It will also help you think about construction. So that's one of the things we're thinking about here is construction. So one of the tasks I'm giving you is you're going to research artists provided that I have in the project. And there's several artists. This is Martin per year. I forget, her last name is Weber. And these are two artists that I'm just going to use as a guide or as a example just to show you how I want you to think about drawing them. So what you're going to do is you're going to select work from various artists, at least two separate artists and two separate sculptures that they've made. And you're going to try to draw what you think the interior structure of that form would be. So I'm going to explain that in a minute. In addition to that, you're going to think about the human figure, just parts of the human figure. You're also going to think about, let me go to this one next, biomorphic forms, or not biology, forms living on land, in the sea. It could be a living form. It could also be, well, everything's living, I suppose, but it could be a tree, but it could be a rock. I guess a rock is not living. And so something that's organic, that's found in nature. And then man-made forms that are organic as well. So there's lots of man-made forms that are organic. You'd think that most man-made forms are not, like a table, but a certain type of table, a curvilinear table, might have an organic element to it. If you just look at a traditional house where someone resides, very geometric, very structured, but there are some, like tents, for example, that's another form of a living structure, and that's very somewhat organic, or it can be very organic. So there's a lot of organic things that are man-made that you can kind of research. So what I've done is I printed these out, and I do recommend printing these out because you can draw right on top of your printouts. So for example, I'll draw on top of this one, and then I'm going to draw here. And I'm just using sketch paper, not sketch paper. You can use sketch paper, but I'm just using printing paper as my sketch paper. I have printing paper here. It's cheap. It's easy, and this is what I'm going to use. So we'll start off with this one here. This sculpture. It just kind of looks like it could be like a piece of a human form. It could be the tail of an odd biomorphic creature in the sea. It could be anything. So what I'm going to do is draw this ellipse there at the bottom. It might even help. I'm not sure if you can see that. Might even help if I use a pen here. So the reason I'm drawing this ellipse, I'm finishing this ellipse, is because that's the volume of this form. And when you're thinking about three-dimensional forms, you have to think about volume because you're going to construct this. And you have to think about how you would build this. So you're going to build the armature, which is the internal structure. Think about a skeleton for your body. That would be the armature. And this is clearly the skin. So this is the armature that we're starting to think about. How is this form built? Or how could you build this form? And what you're going to be using is straws, and you're going to glue straws together, bendy straws, and you can kind of create this organic form. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to draw this ellipse at the bottom. Okay? Your ellipse doesn't be perfect. These drawings do not have to be perfect. They can be crude drawings. I'm not judging your drawing. I'm judging, or I want you to try things out, research, start to draw so you can think about structure, and I'll get to that in a second. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this exterior part. This is a really simple form. It's easy to teach kind of what I'm trying to do here. So the exterior part goes up and it comes over and it kind of like loops in here to one of these things, and then it kind of comes back down, right? Is that an exact replication of that? No, but it's close enough. And that's all I care about. And to be honest, you don't want to make the same thing. You want some oddities on your form or something a little different. So just by the nature drawing this out, it's going to be a little different. Now, one thing that I have to grab is my kneaded eraser. This is kind of helpful, but hold on 1 minute. Okay, I got my kneaded eraser. Thank you for being patient there. The reason I'm using my kneaded eraser is I'm going to lighten the back of the ellipse. And this is what I teach in my drawing classes as well. But just by doing that, it created this depth, which is nice because you're going to draw this as if it's a transparent form. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw another ellipse right here. Okay? And I'll throw another ellipse right here. And I'll throw another ellipse. And I'm just going to kind of like start to turn the ellipse. Another ellipse here. I can even turn this form here. Another ellipse here. Another ellipse here. And another ellipse here. I'm kind of getting a sense of volume there. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to connect those ellipses with vertical straight lines. So I'm going to use my kneaded eraser. I'm also using a soft pencil here. You should be taking a drawing class at this point, and you should have a variety of pencils. I'm using a soft pencil. I'm using a 3B. The reason I'm using a 3B is because it's a buttery graphite, meaning that it dulls out quickly. It's a dark line, and it's more fluid. And I kind of want you to have a nice fluid line right now. Don't use a hard pencil. You're not drawing a mechanical, technical drawing. This is something that's loose and just to give you a basic sense of what you're doing. All right, so then I'm just gonna draw vertical lines here. And if you want, you can draw really light ones behind. Kind of see I'm doing it really light. So you look like this kind of goes back and around in space. I can even throw one here, throw one here. If you're building this. So the next thing I would do is either stagger the next row, which I'm gonna do, or you could build right on top of the row. So what I think I'm gonna stagger them because I think it's kind of fun. Let's put this back in here. I'm just gonna make this a little darker. So staggering meaning I'm gonna go between these, almost like if you ever see bricks being built, they stagger the bricks. They don't stack them, they stagger. They stack them, but they don't stagger them. You get what I'm trying to say. So I'm going in between these spaces here, and then I'm just gonna make these light lines here. So you can kind of see I'm building this up. This is becoming my drawing. That's all I'm asking you to do. It's just kind of like take this, what would the internal structure look like? How would you build this form? Right, you can kind of see that I'm starting to bend these out now because I'm like, oh, I guess I would have to angle these lines on an angle now. And I guess this becomes one of the lines. Okay. I can turn it this way. Oops. And again, not judging you for your drawing skill set. I could care less about that right now. And sometimes the more awkward drawings, the better. All right, so maybe there's a little thing there. So you can kind of see how this thing starts to come up, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it transitions into that direction. That is an organic form. I just used an artist, something that interested me. It was just like this weird, dumb thing in the middle of his face. I liked it, and I drew it. So that is something that you're gonna photograph this. You can include this in your photograph. Yes, I want you to include this in your photograph, but if you're unable to print and you have to do this you have to copy it from the computer, that's fine. I prefer not to. If you can, print it out because it's better to draw on top of the images. You're gonna understand the form more. You can even like add more ellipses and try to figure it out. Draw it here and then draw it here. But if you can't, you have to draw it on the screen and then draw it here. Then take a screenshot, document this, and submit your image with a screenshot. Next thing we're going to do is another object. So if you can see this object here, what I'm going to do is turn it sideways. And I'm just going to focus on this one here. So if I turn this sideways and I would draw basically, actually I'm going to turn it sideways this way because there's this little band here that I might use as my guide. So maybe I would do an ellipse right here, and then I would do a smaller one right here, and then a smaller one here, and they would just get bigger and bigger and smaller. So it's the same concept, but see how easy it was for me to draw on top of this? So I kind of get a sense of like, okay, so this is just a series of circles going straight up. That's pretty easy, I can do that. But it's probably easier to draw this way. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll keep it this way. So if you want to just draw the exterior of the form, right? It's not a perfect drawing, but that's all I care about. It's similar to. And then these high points here, I would just make an ellipse like so. These high points here, I'm just going to make an ellipse like so. Now, I don't care about your eye level and the ellipse and all that stuff. I teach drawing. I know how specific that can be. In this case, it's okay to not worry about it too much. And these kind of low points, I'm going to put ellipses in. Maybe I'll put ellipses in other spots. Just kind of filling the space in, okay? And then after that, I'm just going to do my same approach here. Build, 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 build. Now, these lines I'm putting in connect, obviously, those rings of ellipses, the volume of the form. So I could kind of draw these lines all the way up. I'm going to move on to the next one, but you get the concept. These drawings here are going to help inform you how to build something. That's super important. They're also going to give you some interesting ideas. Like, for example, what if I wanted to marry these two together in some way? What if I wanted to, like, this ellipse here could connect right here? And then I just take this thing off and this becomes this form. I'm like, oh, that's different. It's interesting. I like that idea. So you can kind of marry things together, think about options. And that's what you're going to do, or that's what you've done in the previous project. Constantly think about multiple solutions and mixing things up. So the same process here, it's just a little bit different. Okay. The human foot. It doesn't have to be a foot. It could be anything. It could be a part. It could just be someone's thigh, right? Or whatever. It doesn't matter. So the human foot. Again, I'm just going to do a quick outline drawing. It's going to look cartoon-like, but I'm not concerned about the drawing here. Okay, that's not a really great foot, but I don't care. Right now, I'm putting this aside. I might even focus later on the toes, which are these like extremities, and I could kind of do another drawing about like playing around with these big, long, weird toes, right? And I could use this as a starting point, and this is derived from that. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of think about volume. So I'm gonna put these ellipses in. Now this is tricky because the foot actually gets a little thicker here. But in this case, I'm not trying to make it look like a foot. I'm just using a foot as a starting point. Okay? And then again, connect those lines. Might need another one here. Kind of looks like a weird sock, to be honest with you, on somebody. But by putting these in, it kind of gave the shoe or the foot volume. And then I could maybe focus on these huge toes, right? And then I do the same thing. So there's the volume. There's kind of your approach to building and making. Can I take this foot and attach it to this thing? Can I take this foot and attach it to this thing? It's kind of funny. Can I take this foot and just attach it to one of these things I have here, right? More of a similar size, the printout. All right, there's that. You're gonna do a form found in nature. This is in nature. I selected this because this already has the interior structure. And instead of doing the ellipses, check this out. There's like this kind of spinal cord vertebrae kind of a design. So what if you just tried that? So I'm just gonna draw just a quick outline. Right, so that's just this basic shape. I'm just gonna try to kind of do this huge mouth. Freaky looking thing, isn't it? Okay, so there's this like, this might be full of ellipses here, but then there's something here that this connects to and comes down and then comes back up and then connects to. So there's something in here. So see this little bend here? You can't have that bend. You have to have a line there for more structure. So you might have a line here, you might have a line here, you might have a line here, and you might have a line here. And then this, even though it's looking very geometric, then you could kind of work this around. And in an odd way, this becomes an ellipse again, and these are the connecting points. So strangely enough, it comes back to this. So where does this drawing go? I don't know. And this might be one of those drawings where you're like, I don't know where this is going. I'm just gonna kind of leave it on the side for the moment. But at least you have an idea here. Something's starting to happen. Something's working out. Not the best drawing, but you get the idea. I just kind of drew that there just so you know that there's some kind of structure. And Manmade forms. Last but not least, I know it's a long video. I will stop in a minute. Manmade forms. This might be better here. So how would you build this? This is a tricky one. I'm going to focus on this section right here now. I'm not going to focus on the curve here because that can be an add-on later, but this basically is like an L shape. So it kind of comes down. Something along the lines of that, right? Or a J. And then you could connect the fronts and the backs. So you can kind of see where it connects like that. I think that could work. So then again, you just do this shape here. Only interested in this section here. And what I'm going to do is somewhere around the middle. I'm just going to lighten it, and I'm going to draw a line down. I'm going this direction. So I'm basically making like a cartoon J, where it looks like the foot that I drew before. notice that these little J's are starting to straighten out. Okay, and then after that, you can use a knead eraser if you want, just to lighten up the back part. Otherwise, you'll get a little confused about what's in front, what's behind, and then you can just make your connectors. Inside of this, there might be pieces that are actually cut like this, and there might be connectors that way. Like, what's the internal structure of this? It might be designed in this way, who knows? And then the back parts will just go like this. So that's a way of getting your curvilinear forms, and create some interesting drawings, to be honest with you. Even though these are not drawings that you would imagine what you're trying to draw, these are just ways of thinking about construction and working out some ideas. You might take this and connect it to something else. So then again, stagger. Okay, so you can kind of build up, and you have to figure this part out because it gets a little tricky how it comes out. And that's maybe something you would actually have to build and try to physically do it. Sometimes you can only go so far in drawing on a two-dimensional surface. All right, good luck.